everybody. I'm sure people are just logging in to check in, so we're going to give you a little more time. But I'm here with Ambassador Eric Thompson. I believe you're in Portugal right now. And yes. I am so excited because I've been wanting to bring Ambassador Eric Thompson out for years and years to Walnut Creek. We're both from Walnut Creek. And he came out in 2019, but now we're finally have him coming October 12th for Building Wealth and October 13th for Releasing Negative Emotions. And then also there's a Galactic Chamber we're going to be talking about. So Eric Thompson is like an advanced universal hermetic ray Kabbalah teacher. He built the whole South America with Divina Lisa, the mystery school down there, has from scratch, from zero. So he's really good at building things. If we're talking about building wealth, we're really excited. Oh, cool. I can see people's comments. That's good. Hi, Pooja. So he's going to teach us about building wealth, and we're going to be talking to him today a little bit. Do you want to add a little bit more about your background, like how you started?
Sure. Well, first of all, hello, everybody. And Erin, thanks for having me on so we can talk about these amazing classes. My background, well, I was an engineer. I was that guy who didn't believe in most things. I was kind of doubted things, and I would say I was skeptical, very skeptical. I didn't believe it just because somebody would say something. I wanted to try it and test it for myself. And that's one of the things I liked about the mystery schools, because they said, try it for yourself. And then if it works for you, use it. And if it doesn't, then just don't use what doesn't work for you. So I liked that. It was no pressure. There was nothing more than just me learning something new. And my engineer mind was always just trying to, maybe try to find what's not right with this, to not believe it, shut it down. So I always wanted to do something, but something was shutting it down. And I lived this way for a long, long time, in reaction to everything that was happening in life, until one day I just decided, I'm not liking myself. A lot of people around me aren't liking me, and I got to do something instead of pointing at somebody, because it's so easy to just, point at your ex or point at, your friends or your boss and say, it's them. Okay, well, you know what? Maybe it's not. Maybe it's both of us, So I started looking at that. And that's when I decided that I didn't know myself. I knew the face that I presented, the mask that I presented to everybody, which was as an engineer. I was a sound engineer. I was father. I was, a husband. I was all these things that we say that we are. But I didn't know who I was. And we're much deeper. We're much more than our personality. And so I did a life activation, and then I did the Empower Thyself class all within 10 days. And within 10 days, like, my life went 180 degrees. I mean, I was down and depressed, and I didn't see, even though I had everything. I had a nice house, I had BMW, I had a Mercedes, I had a great job. I had all these things that would make you successful living in Los Angeles. Is what everyone was dreaming of. But first of all, I didn't know how to repeat any of that success. And second of all, I didn't know who I was. So what's the point of having all these things if you're unhappy? And half of the time I was unhappy. So it's like, wait a minute, I have to do something. So where do you go to learn about something that you don't know? Well, a mystery school is a good place to start, because the mystery is you. So you start with you, and you start with some classes. And, I started doing life activations, and remember, as an engineer, I didn't really have any intention to do that. But once I started seeing the value of it and how it was helping people, my mom, my dad, my brother, my sister, my kids, then I started seeing that I wanted to do this. I wanted to help make a difference. So I started this, intense path of knowing myself. So what we would call the fast track.
Well, yeah. And I know that you were like super successful in Hollywood. You had all these famous clients and everything. So it's kind of cool that you went from that and, were able to empty your cup and be humble and start something totally different and be hugely successful in it.
Yeah, I was really into my ego at that time. So, remember, I'm working with Al Pacino, I'm working with Nicolas Cage, Mel Gibson, John Travolta, Sharon Stone. They're just people I work with every single day. working on movies like 300, Iron Man. I worked on Forrest Gump. Films like this. So your ego gets a little big. And my ego was pretty big because even though I wasn't them, I compared myself to them, which is one big thing that we do as humans, is compare ourselves against others, which is not a good thing. I don't recommend it. But I did have that. I lived that world, and having lived in that world, it did help take me to, let's say, the bottom, where then I wanted to wake up from, what I would consider my hell, my not fun time. And then, so I know that's where I didn't want to go back to. So I know it doesn't sound like hell, but if you lived every day with, being jealous and being controlling and being unhappy and all these things, that's what I was. I was, doubting and negative and complaining and all this type of stuff. It seems like a totally different person now.
Totally. Like, you're so humble. Like I met you when you came into school and you rose up, and you always were the same guy. Like, you never changed. You've always been really humble and approachable and really cool. But speaking of all the jealousy and the comparison and everything like that, like, I would love to dive into the negative emotions class. I know that everybody wants to hear about building wealth, but negative emotions to me is very juicy. So it's called the negative emotions, but really this class is about the negative ego. It's open to the public. I remember bringing it in with you in 2019, and it just blew everybody away. It's like, I'm a ritual master, and a lot of the public might not know what that is. We're both ritual masters. It felt like a ritual master class, which is a class that you have to take a lot of steps to get to, but this is open to the public. So I just think it is gold. That's the true gold, is finding out what your negative ego is. But most people might not know what the definition of a negative ego is. So, like, I know I've seen you teach about the negative ego, and I got really good material for my own classes. So how do you approach it when people are wondering what the negative ego is?
Right. Well, I would say, first of all, the negative ego is comprised of all the masks that you hide behind. So what does that mean? Well, you learn to be a certain way with your parents. You learn to be a certain way with your husband, with your ex, with your uncles, with your teacher, with your boss. You learn to be a certain way. And in order to get the, good boy, good girl, and not be rejected, we put on a mask. Like, I'm going to be this way for mommy, and I'm going to be this way for daddy, and then I'll be this and that. But eventually, if you wear enough masks, you eventually, you don't really know who you are, because you're so busy being somebody else who just doesn't want to be rejected, And so I like to say that your negative emotions reside in your negative ego. So if you didn't have your negative ego, or if you reduced, at least reduced its power over you, you would have a lot less negative emotions. So your negative ego, did you know like 90% of the way we live is lived on an autopilot? I mean, we're just living unconsciously. We're living as a reaction to something that's happening. And when we do that, you would become not aware of what you're doing. You're just living on autopilot. You don't know why you're reacting. You think you have free will, but you really don't have free will, right? Because think about it. Why are there so many gyms? There's CrossFit, and there's, Pilates, and it's just endless numbers of ways to work out. Yet people still are overweight. There's so many different types of diet. You have keto, you have carnivore, you have vegan, you have all this, yet still people have a hard time controlling what they eat. If it was just about a new method, then it would be simple, and everybody would not be putting that little cookie in their mouth when they really shouldn't be eating it, or sleeping in when they know they should be working out. It's because you have this part of you that has really been opposing you for most of your life. In fact, I would say in most moments, it's opposing you. So you really want to do something, and then there's another voice that comes inside and says, yeah, but I don't think that's going to work. Oh, I really, really want to go to Healers Academy. Yeah, but you know what? You don't, blah, 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 blah. And this voice comes in. So it's almost like you have the positive side and then the negative side telling you can't. Well, unfortunately, this voice talks so much that you listen to it. And then it convinces you that in order for you not to fail later, for example, like opening that business, you should just not even open it, which means you've already failed. So it's already defeated you by telling you, well, if you try that, you're probably going to fail. And then you go, yeah, you know what? You're right. And it shows you all the evidence why you would fail. You believe it, and then you never start. And then you go, oh, I guess I just, it wasn't meant to be. No, maybe you're meant to understand your negative ego so that you can get over it and you can not let it control your life, because it is responsible for all of your trauma, history, and problems. And so we really need to get rid of it. And I know get rid of it sounds, you may think, well, can't get rid of the negative ego. And I can tell you that it's probably your negative ego is telling you this right now. It's like, don't believe that. You can't get rid of your negative ego. We all need a negative ego. It's something that we need. Well, I'm going to tell you that you don't need it. It doesn't serve a purpose. Doesn't mean it hasn't served you to a purpose, to a certain point, but only until now you're aware that you don't need it so that you can, live without it. So how are we going to do that? Well, that's something we're going to talk about in the class.
It's so sneaky and it's everywhere, and a lot of people don't even know it exists. And so I remember taking the Releasing Your Negative Ego class, which I've taken maybe 3 times. I mean, Depth program or Empower Thyself is about uncovering your negative ego. Kabbalah is about uncovering your negative ego. Ritual Master program is about releasing your negative ego. I mean, I can't think of anything more important that I would want to know. Like, I think most of us just need to know what's blocking us. And if we don't know what's blocking us, then we can't be all that we can be. And so in the class, you're going to shine a bright light. Like, how are you going to shine a bright light on this? I think also most people think the negative ego, unless it's not, they might check out when we're explaining it and Empower Thyself or even the public. Most people think It's like, I think I'm better than everybody else. It's like, that's the normal definition of ego, is arrogant. Mm-hmm. So I wanted to also make a distinction between that.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. I think that most people think, well, I got it under control. I'm not arrogant. I'm not all stuck up. It's not about that. It's literally about all the things that block you from you being your divine self. So what's your divine self? You need to see what that is. But everything that's blocking you from being your divine self would be doubt, fear, frustration, hate, judgment, jealousy. There's just so many things. Envy, just go on and on and on and on. Those are things that are stopping you from living your life, like guilt. Things like this are, how long do you carry guilt for? When is it okay to stop feeling guilty for something that you did? And who determines that? Does God tell you to feel guilty? Or is it your negative ego telling you should feel guilty? Because if you feel bad, then you're going to feel better later. Look at the way it tricks you. It says, you know what, if you feel bad now, then you're going to feel better later. And I don't know anyone who feels bad and then feels good from feeling bad. Like, if I make somebody feel bad, that it's not going to make them feel better. The opposite is what's happening. But it convinces us that feel bad now, carry this guilt because later you'll feel better. Well, maybe you carry the guilt for 2 years, 5 years, 10 years. Why? You need to make amends. You need to, do something for that. But you don't need to carry that, because, who decides when it's time to let it go?
So yeah, it basically is just clogging us from all the greatness that we can have. So like in the class, it's basically, I remember, I took it in 2019. It's a long time, but just it's a spotlight, right, on becoming aware. Like, what are some of the things that the students are going to get out of that class?
Well, you're going to become aware of its mechanisms, and you're going to be aware of how it works and what it uses to control and manipulate you into not living from your true will, or living from your positive ego, let's say. So what's your positive ego? So we're going to go into the class about that, but your positive ego would be you as an individual. It's you, the way you came, to this planet to express in the world. And that if you have been left alone, and God love our parents, they do the best that they can, and they're always trying to help us. And I'm a parent too, and doing the best that I can. And this is the way I learned, and you pass it down to the next. But they're trying to do their best. But if you were able to just come down and express, what your spirit was here to express, then you would live that way. Obviously, you want it to be aligned with being good and being good to others and not harming others. But if you come here to express and then someone says, oh, honey, don't do that. Oh, no, you want to be a journalist? That doesn't make any money. You shouldn't go after that. Oh, you know what? This is that. You're going to make mom happy, dad happy, teacher happy. This isn't about blaming parents by any means. This is about just us understanding that we've been given all these things from outside and we've accepted them to be truths. And then we carry that around as that's me. And then eventually you get to be like I was when I was 44 and I'm looking around at my house or what I built here. And I said, where did I build this? This isn't mine. Who am I? What am I doing? But if you start breaking down those walls, those masks of who you were, it will reveal who you truly are, which is your positive ego. And then once you live from your positive ego, then it's able to live from joy. You're able to flow and you're able to be abundant and you're able to live the life that you've always wanted. And I know that sounds like a pipe dream, but it is true. But you only doubt it because you have the negative ego doubting it. If you didn't have that negative ego, or at least it was to the side, not ignoring it, and not, just literally, getting rid of it. We need to get rid of it is what we need to do. And you can get rid of it. 100% may be difficult, but why not have 95% gone? That would be, imagine if you had only if you were living your life 95% consciously versus 10% consciously.
Wow. Well, I am passionate about, I know it sounds negative, but I love looking for the negative ego because like once you find it, you can turn it into gold. And it really is the block to all the things that you just said. And if no one knows, if you have blinders on and you don't see it, you're really not going to get to the joy piece. And so,
and you just think that's normal thing of being a human. I thought the same thing. I said, you know what? That's normal. Humans just live this way. Ups and downs, ups and downs. Well, you know what? How about ups and downs like this? Doesn't that sound better than ups and downs like a roller coaster? I got tired of living that way, so I wanted to live more like this. Yeah, there's ups and downs, but on my down day, I don't go into negative. I'm still up here in positive because I've raised my vibration so much. So when I come down, it's only a little bit. It's maybe down for me, but it's not down.
No, it's so much higher. Yeah, my low is a lot higher than it.
Yeah, so like you don't really have bad days, so it changes. And the key is knowing about the negative ego. So I'm telling you, if you want to live free, you want to be, actually live your life the way you really want to and make that conscious choice in every moment to choose, you need to be free of the negative ego. Yeah,
so just face it. So I implore you all to sign up for this it's called Releasing Negative Emotions. Let's just call it Releasing Negative Ego class. Good. It's shocking. I had already been in the school for a while and I was like, oh my gosh, it's, just like the little nooks and crannies that it can still get into. You need to know. And then you can shore up those defenses and be shining bright and serving people instead of worrying about your drama, Yeah. So going on from that, we also are here to talk about building wealth, which I know a lot of people are really interested in, but really, I mean, the negative ego, you kind of have to clear that before you can probably build wealth, right? I mean,
it helps so much to do that because with the building wealth, of course, you can understand how to flow and how to do that. But if your negative ego is fighting you on it and telling you, no, it's not the way it is, then you're having to fight extra, and you don't need to. So much better to get rid of, or at least understand the mechanism of your negative ego so that you can start not letting it run the show. See, like when I hear the negative ego talking to me and it still talks to me, but I don't let it, I just say, oh, I must be really close to something good because you're talking. Not the negative ego wouldn't tell me it's not going to work. Don't go, don't do that. So I know I use it now to guide me versus I don't listen to it. I don't give it any power because it's not me.
That's so right. That is a tell. Anytime there's something I'm resistant to, or like I'm going to up level, I'm always like, oh, I don't want to do it. That's just how it forms now. But now I know that's the tell. Like that's you go that direction, go against that direction. And then there's always an explosion of some new learning, some new victory. And then you can see the mountain that's you couldn't see before. But I wanted to ask you, like with negative ego is also about negative beliefs. And a lot of our negative beliefs are what are keeping us from being wealthy. So like a lot of people, maybe who are new to us might think, well, are spiritual people supposed to be wealthy? Like, aren't we supposed to be, wasn't Jesus poor? Like, was Jesus poor?
Well, I know that the three wise men, the three magi gave him gold, frankincense, and myrrh. And frankincense and myrrh were extremely valuable essential oils. I mean, you had to be extremely rich to have these. And then gold, obviously. And when Jesus performed miracles and did the things that he did, people were so happy that they had done this that they gave exchange, because there is a law of exchange. If I do something for you, you reciprocate some way in some form. And so people did give him all sorts of things. Jesus was very wealthy. He wasn't just some dude walking around in Birkenstocks. Seriously, because how would he be able to do that? Not just asking for a handout everywhere that he went. He was extremely wealthy, royal being that knew who he was. And because he knew who he was able to perform amazing miracles. And that's why some of us aren't able to perform the same miracles, because we don't believe who we are. And Jesus always said, greater things ye shall do, for ye are gods. And so, he would tell us that, me and my Father are one, and you and I are brothers. So that's telling you right there that what I do, you can do as well. So the minute we can believe that we are God, which means you have to get rid of your negative ego, because your negative ego is not you. It's not you. So you got to get rid of that. And of course, yes, there's amazing teachings about flow from Sovereign Ipsissimus Dave in this class, because I like to say, when people, if you don't want money, then just don't come to the class. If you're good, But I had a guy come who was extremely multimillionaire, and he came and he got something out of the class, that helps him to build a flow even more. So he was able to go from wherever he was to the next level, and even called me later saying that he was thinking about this days later, somebody who had achieved extreme wealth in the physical.
I love that humble attitude of always emptying your cup and always being open to learning more, even if you're doing well. So yeah, so we don't have to be destitute to be spiritual. So
No, for sure. It's funny, Erin, because when we brought this class to Brazil, the guides were talking, and of course we're all humans, so people are worried that, well, the translation of building wealth in Portuguese was constructing riches. And so they were like, oh, no, we don't want to say that, because people are going to think we only care about money and this and that. And so we did have conversations about this, and we ended up, they wanted to use abundance because it's less, in your face, less offensive. And they didn't want people to think that we only cared about money. It's like, no, we live in the physical world. You need money to live in this world, or else how are you going to be able to express your inner thoughts? You have inner thoughts, inner feelings, how you feel. And the fact that you don't have money means you can't express them in the world. So if you want to express your thoughts and what you feel inside, you need to have money. So how do you do that? Well, you need to understand flow. So what is flow, right? So money, it's an amplifier. So money will amplify what you have. So a good person who has money will do good things. I know you would do good things, and I know most of the people watching here would do good things with their money, help people and do things, because we're people of the light, right? But if you're a bad person and you get money, then you're going to most likely do bad things with money, because it's just going to amplify you. And you're not going to be a good person of the light and then all of a sudden get money and become evil. It's just like, it's highly unlikely. But most people will say, well, money will corrupt you and it'll make you bad and all that. That's because that's your limited belief. Right? So if you believe that people who have money are bad people, or that they've stolen to get it, or they do this, then what, you're kind of self-sabotaging yourself based on your beliefs, because why would you want to be a person that steals? and somebody who's done things illegal to get it. So you would automatically sabotage yourself so that you don't become like that. So we have to let go of these limited beliefs, things that have been given to us. And sometimes it's like my parents were like, money doesn't grow on trees, and a penny saved is a whatever earned, and all these sayings, and always cutting coupons and cutting corners, and that's coming from a place of lack. And if you come from lack, then you're going to always come from that. So we need to change that. We need to shift that. We need to explain it, so that not just explain it, but doing certain exercises and understandings where you can see, oh my God, yeah, I can do this, because money is like, it's like a flow, right? So if you had a river, right? And if money was the river, most people, they'll take a bucket and they'll go down to the river and they'll fill up with the amount of, flow that they need, and they'll take it wherever they want and they'll dump it out. And this also depends on the size of your bucket, right? Because if you have a small bucket, you're only able to take so much. You can. But what you want to do is not go there and get it and then dump it, because that means I'm separated from it. So I don't want to be separated from the river. I want to be in the river. So you want to be in the river where the flow is. And if you're in the flow, then I'm taking from you, Erin, you're giving me, and then I give to the students. The students give to me, I give to that. This person gives to there, and I give freely. I'm not hoarding, I'm not holding on to as if there's no more coming from the universe, from Hesed. It's literally you're stopping the flow. So these are some of the things that we're going to talk about. So you want to get in the flow where the money is.
Totally.
Right?
Good. Money likes to be free, don't you? Everybody likes to be free. So good. You're not going to be talking about like 401ks and like putting
no.
in the bank and making it.
You won't be budgeting. You won't be doing your checkbook, and you won't learn anything about investments. So, but you will learn how to flow and get more money, and how to have enough money so that you can express your internal thoughts in the physical. Because you think of a guy like Elon Musk, there's nothing that he can't really express in the physical. I mean, he has his dreams now because he already has everything physical of going to Mars, because that's a challenge. Because if he wants a building, he can buy a building. He can buy 3 buildings. It's like a piece of cake. So what is it inside of you that you want? And do you really want it? Because if you really want it, then you do what you need to do to get it. If you don't really want it, then you don't. I always like to say that, like, I want to speak French, but I don't want to study French. I don't want to do the grammar. I don't want to do any book work. I don't want to spend days and hours doing it every day. So I guess I don't really want to speak French that bad. So maybe as you're looking at your lists of things that you want to do, ask yourself, is this something I really, really want to do? And if it is, then keep it on your list. If not, just scratch it off the list, because it's just one more thing that you say I'm going to do that you don't do. And then when you don't do it, you go, see, I didn't do what I said I was going to do. And then you kind of don't trust yourself. You kind of don't believe in yourself. So we got to start to aligning all these things, because we're here to manifest and create. So let's do that. Let's manifest and create.
So this is about the metaphysics, the energy behind money, which is something a lot of people haven't explored. And we only have a couple of minutes left if we want to stop at 30 minutes.
Oh, okay, yeah. You can go 4 minutes, yeah.
We're feeling the flow. We're in the river. But I actually personally am curious about the Galactic Chamber, because I've never done it. I'm a mystery school person. I love all mystery school things. They've all done good for me. I'm signed up myself, but Ambassador Eric's also going to be doing, offering a Galactic Chamber healing the night of Building Wealth. I mean, like, what an awesome weekend. We're going to start with Building Wealth on October 12th. Then we're going to do, if you want to stay after, we'll do the Galactic Chamber, which he's going to explain. And then the next day is Releasing Your Negative Emotions, Negative Ego, which, I mean, do not miss that. So, yeah. Let me know.
Yeah, I'm really passionate about these classes. I love these classes because they're so transformational. It's not a class you're just going to sit and listen and go, yeah, I did that. It's a class you're going to listen, and you're going to participate, and you're going to really understand what it is you need to do to get rid of it. And then you can start lessening its power over you right away, immediately. As far as the galactic chamber healing, I mean, I love galactic energy myself. I've done, I think I've done up to galactic 4, activation 4. And anyway, basically, this is a healing that was handed down by the Third Order to me. And what does it do? Well, it helps balance your mind and your body. It's one of the things that it does. When we come down into the physical, I'm going to get a little esoteric here.
Oh, sounds good.
Because it's kind of hard to understand galactic energy unless you've experienced it. But I can tell you, if you look at the testimonials, people have had amazing transformations and amazing perceptions from being sitting in this chamber. So basically, it's a chamber. So I create this chamber where you're going to sit in it, kind of almost like what are those chambers they're called, where you sit and you get good energy, like med beds, or the what's it called, hyperbaric chamber? Yeah. Or you go in and you feel good and you sit in it. It's like a place where you're going to go and sit, and you're going to be in there, and you're going to, I don't want to say the word cook, but you're going to be absorbing these energies. You're going to be, absorbing them, and they're going to be coming in and working with you, and you feel you feel the results of it. But basically what it's going to allow you to do, as we come down into the physical body, we're an expansive being, and then all of a sudden we're in this little body. And so in the process of us coming into the body, there's fractals and parts of us that are kind of just all over the place. So what this does, it works with Chronos, and it works with helping the fractals to be organized. So basically, for anyone who's an initiate, it allows you to hold more light, more kingdom of spirit in the flesh.
Nice. Well, we're all beings, so we need to have our pieces back together.
Yeah, and besides that, you start having realizations that are beyond physical, because we have the physical, and then of course we have galactic and spiritual, and it's amazing. It's really hard to put into words.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sold already. When I saw it, I just thought, maybe we'll take a little time to talk about it.
Yeah, but you'll feel it right away. I mean, I've had people do it, and then they sign up to do it again because they liked it so much.
I want to go. It's like a ride.
Yeah. So
the Chronos healing that Sister Teresa brings, it's like going to a concert or something. You're like, I want to go again. I'm going to get another ticket.
Yeah, exactly. That's how you feel. Yeah.
Whoa, wow. Well, we've already got a lot of people signed up for Building Wealth and Negative Emotions. So, and the class is in October. So if you guys are interested, sign up, because space is limited, I think, to 35, maybe 40. So yeah, I think the price, we have tier 2 pricing until tomorrow, August 27th is when they go.
Right, yeah.
And then you can buy, if you get both classes, you get a huge discount by doing both. So because they hand in hand, we kind of want to support you to do both, because building wealth is sexy and everything, but and releasing your negative ego, your negative ego is going to try to stop you, which is now your sign to go forward. And so we want to get you to do both so that you can get better results,
Yeah, and they go hand in hand. So it's one of those things that, I'm not here just tooting the horn about it. It's really is a life-changing thing. It's something that will change you, and you will understand things at a whole different level. That's for sure that you will do that. But then again, I understand we all have our, the mind might tell you, well, I already know about the negative ego. Well, if your life is going 100% great and you enjoy all the time and you have abundance and you have love and all that, then I'm extremely happy that you have that. But if we don't have that, it's because there's pieces that you don't understand. And these pieces are the things that can accelerate you much quicker than if you're spending years trying to figure it out. And, because it's just kind of all in there, and it was brilliantly put together. So
it's awesome. I mean, I've taken it 3 times and I still get something out of it. So it's one of those things that Ambassador Eric will, he's working with the hierarchy of light and your guides and his guides. And it's a very customized, all mystery school classes are customized to the group that's there and the issues of the group. And so it's always going to be a different class. So yeah, there's some audit spaces available. We set aside some, but we really want people to be able to get this the first time too. So yeah. I think, yeah. Well,
Excellent.
I think covered everything. We don't want to give too much away.
I think it's great. I think that we did good. Great, Erin. Thank you so much for having me, and thank you to everyone for coming. And
thank you so much for taking the time.
Really hope to see everybody. And I don't know if everyone knows, but I actually grew up in Walnut Creek. So, I lived my whole life in Walnut Creek and Pleasant Hill and Martinez and Concord and Danville.
Yeah, you remember those are all the niche towns that like even locals sometimes don't know about, which is so cool. You're coming to your power spot. I always think where you're born is like where you're most power. That's why I live here.
Yeah. No, that's awesome.
It's gonna be awesome to have you back. I can't wait. And
looking forward to it. All right. Well, thank you.
Okay, I'm gonna end the live. Bye, everyone. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.